Boom, it's a big day tomorrow, right? Got a lot of interviews. I'm hiring people. So if you want to be one of those people, you want to do sales and work with me, work under me, have some fun, get at me, all right? Look, this actually is huge because if you stop selling your services, you're going to close a ton more deals. Most accountants never fail, right? Most accountants never fail because they lack technical skill. They fail because nobody ever taught them the psychology of client acquisition, right? And that right there is the difference between a technician and a business owner. You can be the greatest tax preparer in the world, and you can understand bookkeeping better than everyone around you, but and also the financial statements, you know those, the cash flow, the payroll, the entity structures, the advisory. But if you cannot influence human behavior, right, what ends up happening is you stay trapped. Because business owners, they don't buy the accounting, right? They do not buy the accounting. What they buy is the certainty, the confidence, the emotional relief that they get from using your services, the clarity, the future. Today, I'm going to teach you the real game of sales in the accounting industry at a level almost nobody will ever teach you. So in this module, Module 1, I call it the biggest lie in accounting. Look, accountants are never taught, okay? They're never taught this dangerous belief. If I become skilled enough, clients will naturally come, all right? That is one of the most expensive lies ever told because the market does not reward the best tax preparer. The best person who can plug in numbers using QuickBooks, okay? The market rewards the best communicated value. Let me say it again. The market rewards the best communicated value. There are mediocre accountants with massive firms. I actually see it and hear about it all the time. And I also talk to brilliant accountants struggling to survive. Why? Because business is emotional before it is logical. Right? And people justify with logic, but they buy emotionally. All right? That's huge. That's huge. Module 2 in this quick mini series I'm doing. I'm basically giving you a sales program for free. I mean, think how crazy that is. Module 2. What clients are actually buying? Well, look, before I tell you, I want you to think about it. What are they actually buying? Well, they're buying your value. Okay, the value of using your services. They're buying the outcome of using your services. Let me change your life really fast, okay? So they don't wake up and they don't want bookkeeping. They don't wake up and they get excited for tax preparation. I mean, think how weird that would be. Nobody says, wow, honey, I hope someone reconciles my QuickBooks today. I mean, right? Think how crazy that would be. So that is not what they want. What they want is less stress, more money, control, simplicity, freedom, predictability, confidence, growth, time back with family, and peace of mind. The accounting service is only the vehicle and the emotional outcome is the product. So let me say that again. The accounting service is only the vehicle and the emotional outcome, that's the product, that's your service. So that is what they're buying. Understand that. So this is why elite salespeople in accounting outperform the technical experts all day long, because they understand the human behavior. Boom. All right, let's go to the next section. Hey, make sure you're writing all of this down too. This is big time stuff. This is huge. This is what takes your paychecks to the next level, right? Okay. Module 3 is the psychology of pain. The psychology of pain. And this right here is where most accountants completely lose the client. They explain the services before uncovering the pain, right? And that's amateur. You can't do that. You're like, it's like imagine going to a car dealership and you want a car, and this car salesman sells you a truck. It's like it doesn't even make sense. You don't. There's a reason. I have to uncover the reason of what they need and want. All right. So high-level sales is diagnosis before prescription. A doctor does not hand you, guys, a doctor doesn't hand you medicine before understanding your symptoms. Okay, yeah, accountants do this constantly. We do bookkeeping, we do taxes, we do payroll, and you can do this in any other industry, the solar industry. You know, you get in there and you talk about your darn solar system. It's stupid. Nobody cares, right? You have to uncover the emotional pain. So examples of real pain. Pain sounds like this. I'm behind on taxes and stressed every night. I have no clue where my money's going. All right, I got no idea. I'm scared to death. I'm making revenue, but somehow I feel still broke. Right? I feel broke. I still feel broke. Help me out here, right? I'm scared of the IRS. I work nonstop and feel overwhelmed. I want to grow, but no one, I don't understand my numbers and I don't feel like anyone gets me. Boom, that's the real sale, okay? So notice how what I've uncovered, and I'm getting this person to explain these things, or maybe they're not, just, hey, talk to me about what's going on. Boom, and now they're going to go over all these things right here, and you can confirm it and expand that way that you can understand, right? You got to look for the real sale. So module 4, I call this the elite framework, and I'll give you the steps to it. You just got to make sure that you write them down. So number 1 is build rapport. People buy from people they trust. So trust is built through certainty, calmness, confidence, curiosity, right? True curiosity in the other person. And then emotional intelligence, able to guide the conversation, know when to go, know when to pivot, know when to press, know when not to press, right? The best salespeople make people, the prospects feel understood. So here's an example. Hey, so just tell me like what's going on. What's going on in your current business? What's going on in the situation? What are we working with here? Talk to me about that, right? It's simple and it's human. All right. The next thing is you have to find the gap. You have to identify the gap. That's where the sale lives. Okay. It lives in the gap. So the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And that gap creates tension. And tension creates urgency. And urgency creates action. All right. Some questions for you are, look, where are you financially right now? Where do you want to be in 12 months? What happens if nothing changes? That last question, are you kidding me? It's so good. What happens if nothing changes? Because now they emotionally confront the cost of inaction. All right. The next step in this framework is quantify the problem. Quantify the darn problem. Average salespeople, right, talk feelings. Elite salespeople connect feelings to numbers because numbers create logic. Look, now the prospect emotionally feels pain and logically justifies action. So here's an example for you. You could say something like this. So if your books are disorganized and it's causing bad decisions, how much money do you think that's costing the business every month? Pause. What happens is they're going to start selling themselves. They're going to start selling themselves. And that's what we want, right? We want them to sell themselves. I don't want to do all the work. Might as well have them do all the work, collect all the money, right? Just use your common sense, okay? Step 4 in the framework, this beautiful framework that I put together for you. Future pace the transformation, okay? And by the way, this framework is like the beginning to mid of, or you can make it the whole thing, whatever. It's your pitch. I'm just giving you the ammo. All right, so one of my favorite things to do is sell the outcome, sell the transformation, actually put people in the future. One thing with this is people might not, especially with their A-type personalities, they might not realize that they have pain right now, but you can put them in the future and create pain, right? So there's many ways when I talk about transformation and pacing and putting people in the future. But anyway, for this exact framework here, future pace the transformation, this is where the average closer collapses, all right? They explain features instead of painting identity transformation. People buy who they can become. What do I mean by that? So example, imagine 12 months from now, your books are clean, taxes handled, and cash flow is predictable. You understand your numbers. Now you're finally operating like a real CEO instead of surviving day to day. How does that feel? I want you to talk to me about that, John. Boom. Well, that creates emotional movement, okay? Section 5, why most accountants sound weak. Module 5, why most accountants sound weak. And what do I mean by weak? Most accountants speak with informational certainty instead of leadership certainty, and there's a difference in that. So what you're probably doing is, if you want, we could maybe help with your bookkeeping, and tell me, what are you thinking? That kind of stuff, those kinds of things, that kind of stuff. That sucks. You can't talk that way. This is how you need to initiate and take control. Hey, based on what you told me, the biggest issue is financial visibility. That's exactly what we solve here. Okay, so one sounds unsure, one sounds like authority. This is actually, we're going to hop out of that framework and go into a different module here. Let's call this sales versus marketing. Okay, and I actually addressed this in one of my other videos, and probably many more that you'll go to see. But I just want to say this is critical, that marketing gets attention. Okay, marketing is what brings them in. Okay, and sales is what converts attention. Marketing creates curiosity. Sales creates commitment. Okay, marketing says, look at me. And sales says, let me help you make a decision. So a lot of accountants think they have a lead problem, but actually most of you have a communication problem. So if we can just fix that and flip that around, boom, I think you'll be good to go. Well, I know, right? All right, so the next module, module 7, the real reason sales feels weird. Well, the real reason that sales feels weird, I'll tell you, okay? You're emotionally attached to being liked. That's why it feels weird. You're emotionally attached to being liked. Just think about that for a second. It feels weird because you care if they like you. Right? So understand this, that elite closers are not rude, okay? And they're not manipulative, but they are willing to lead. All right? And leadership requires tension sometimes. You cannot change someone's life while being terrified of making them uncomfortable. Right? So if your service truly helps people, guys, then I would say avoiding the close is just so selfish. Like, just go all in if you're convicted and you believe you can do the job at a high level, and just go in. Let's get you started today. This is the cost. We'll send over the contract. Boom. Okay? It's just common sense to me. If I'm good at my job and I'm good at communicating and I can actually do your books and do your taxes and make you more money than you've ever made, right? Then whatever. Do it. All right? Go in for the kill. Just think about like if... a shark's in the water and it smells that blood. That's how you got to be. All right. The next module, module 8, the future of accounting. The future of accounting is not tax preparation, enrolled agent, CPA. The future of accounting is advisory. Okay, being an advisor, being a strategist, a communicator, a business consultant, a leader. The accountants making serious money are not the best number crunchers. I can't stress that enough. They're the ones who communicate value, build trust, diagnose pain, guide decisions, create certainty. All right, so if you found value in the video today, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. And also check us out at Universal Accounting Center.